I remember reading that impulse control is the most accurate predictor of success in life. That if an individual is able to defer gratification, if they're able to put off doing something that they want to do or not do it because it's a bad idea, that makes them more likely to succeed than if they possess any other characteristic. Wealth, intelligence, being handsome or beautiful. These things aren't as important as impulse control. I don't know if that's true. I don't know if having impulse control will make you successful. But I know that the lack of impulse control makes it more likely that you will go to jail or prison. There were an incredible number of inmates that I met who simply didn't have impulse control. There was no disconnect between what they wanted to do and what they did. It was cause and effect. A great example of this is an inmate that I met named Dragon. Dragon and I had had a physical altercation. But after that physical altercation, we got along reasonably well. We weren't great friends. I wasn't going to invite him over for our barbecue whenever we got out, but we were able to cohabitate. We were able to talk and not be angry at each other. Our differences had been resolved. One day, I was speaking to Dragon and I asked him, "Hey Dragon, what are you in for anyway?" And he told me first-degree burglary with a prior. I was surprised. First-degree burglary is a serious crime, and burglars, by and large, I'd use adjectives like clever, sneaky to describe them. They're good at blending into their surroundings, picking victims that won't notice they enter their homes. I would not have used the adjectives clever and sneaky to describe Dragon. Stupid, violent, unpredictable. If he'd said that he ran up on somebody in an alley and hit them with a brick, I would have considered that perfectly reasonable. First-degree burglary was a surprise. And so I asked him, first-degree burglary with a prior, what was your prior? And he went, first-degree burglary? But that one they sent me to Atascadero. I didn't go to jail for that one. At this point, I'm fascinated. Atascadero is the state mental hospital where they send the criminally insane. It's where you go if you are so mentally ill that you are unable to assist in your own defense and thereby unable to stand trial. For Dragon to have been sentenced to Atascadero for a first-degree burglary was a very unusual occurrence. So I asked him, "How did you go to Atascadero, Dragon?" What had happened is that his cousin had a girlfriend, and Dragon had a crush on his cousin's girlfriend. But he didn't feel it would be appropriate to pursue it, because he had so much respect for his cousin. So rather than saying to the girl, "Hi, I like you," he decided to sneak into their laundry room and steal her underwear. I guess to feel closer to her is what we'll say. He did this repeatedly, and it probably would have persisted indefinitely, except that she only had so many pairs of underwear. And eventually, as he continued to do it, they noticed that they were going missing. They confronted him, caught him red-handed, told him, "You can't come here anymore, we don't want you in our home, you can't just go stealing people's underwear," and kicked him out. But it was in his head, he had to keep doing it. And he knew that they left a window unlocked, so he started sneaking into their home whenever they were gone, and breaking in through that window and stealing her underwear. This persisted until they realized again that more underwear were going missing and started locking all of their windows and doors. But he couldn't let it go. He couldn't take no for an answer, essentially. And so one day whenever they were gone, he broke a window and used it to enter their home, stole her underwear. This must have been terrifying for that poor woman. Let's bear in mind that I just applied the adjectives violent, unpredictable, stupid to Dragon. If she had been home, bad things could have happened to her. I'm not saying they would have. I don't want to suggest that Dragon would necessarily have taken that far, but I think that she had a reasonable fear that it could have happened. And so she called the police, had him arrested, and rightly so. He was charged with first-degree burglary. This is a bargaining tactic that the district attorney often employs. He'll charge you with the harshest crime he can think of. that fits the criterion of the actions you committed. And then you'll get a lawyer or a public defender. You'll plea bargain down to a lesser crime. That's generally how it works. But, I said Dragon was unpredictable and yes, stupid. Rather than plea bargaining down to a lesser crime, he refused the aid of an attorney and insisted that he was guilty of the very harsh crime for which he had been charged, first-degree burglary. That the district attorney sentenced him to a Atascadero was very merciful, frankly. That's a serious crime, and they could have sent him to prison for a significant amount of time. But they did give him a strike. I asked him, I go, Dragon, what did you do whenever you got out? A Atascadero for 6 months you said you were there? That's huge. What he did when he got out was break into their home and steal this woman's underwear again. That's how he got his second charge of first-degree burglary. I believe the manner in which he described it was, I didn't mean to. I was having a good time. My family was taking care of me. I was eating good. I was happy. But I just kept thinking about it. And I didn't want to, but I did it. And I got caught. This time the district attorney was far less merciful. And this time again, Dragon didn't accept a plea bargain. He just took the very harsh crime that he was charged with. First-degree burglary. A second strike. They couldn't give him a mental hospital stay this time. They had to be a little harsher with him. You can't just let people break the law and get away with it. They gave him a year in county jail. I get to thinking, Dragon's going to parole in just like 3 weeks or a month. I know he is. I remember talking to him that he was going to get out soon. I asked him, Dragon, you're not going to bother this poor woman anymore, are you? You're not going to... Don't break into their home, dude. You're going to get in a lot of trouble. I don't know exactly how to describe the expression that he had on his face or the tone that he used. It was shame and embarrassment and fear. He said, but I didn't mean to before. I don't want to do it, but I'm afraid that I will. I think we all know what happened next. I don't have first-hand knowledge. I never saw Dragon after he paroled, but you want my best guess is that he broke into this poor woman's home, stole her underwear, and got arrested, charged with first-degree burglary. And the thing about this is that he had 2 strikes. California is a 3 strikes and you're out state is what they call it. A strike is a crime which has the potential for violence, a serious felony. And if you commit 3 of them, you have a mandatory sentence of 25 years in prison to life in prison. There's no wiggle room. That's what you get. Somewhere in CDC in the state of California, there's an inmate serving 25 to life for what's essentially panty sniffing. He was victimizing and terrorizing that poor woman, and I don't want to make light of it, but essentially he's serving a life sentence for panty sniffing. It's easy to hold ourselves above that, go, ha, we're not that dumb, we're not that violent and angry. But the thing is that I knew a lot of addicts while I was locked up. And they were in a similar situation. They didn't mean to commit the crimes that they did. The drugs got in their heads. And so it's easy to say, well, at least we're not drug addicts. But the fact of the matter is that impulse control, the ability to not do something or to delay doing something because we know that it's bad for us, it's a problem that we all face. Maybe on January 1st you swore you weren't going to have any more fast food and you caught yourself with a bucket of KFC on your lap on the 10th. There's a distinction that burglars and sex addicts like Dragon hurt people with their lack of impulse control. Eating a donut isn't hurting anybody except maybe yourself. But the nature of the failure is the same. It's a lack of accountability. It's an inability to prevent ourselves from doing things that we know are wrong. So you want to be very careful because it is a slippery slope. Dragon essentially liked to hurt people. He liked to steal underwear, which was terrorizing that poor woman, and he got sent to prison for it. And he gets to be around a bunch of other people that lack impulse control and like to hurt people, probably in far more sinister ways than he's going to expect. Perhaps our failures won't be as extreme. Maybe we'll just end up overweight. Maybe we'll end up letting down the people that depend on us. But if you don't want to end up in prison, if you don't want to end up failing the people who care about you, exercise that impulse control. Spend just 1 extra second thinking about the thing that you want to do and ask whether it's the thing that you want to have done.